you so much. And I'm very excited to be here. For me, it's morning. It's 7:30 or 7:55 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. So technically speaking, I am speaking to you from the future, ladies. It's wonderful again to be here. I spoke at the Australian Summit last week as well. And I'm here to spread a message. But before that, I want to tell you what happened to me in 2016. So actually, it was 2015, and it was pretty much, I think, this time of the year, probably a week later than it is now in 2015. And what had happened that year is I had initiated my divorce. I had a lot of debt from my ex-husband, which I had virtually cleared. In fact, I had cleared it down to zero. I had gotten back into shape. Everything was fabulous in life. And I remember logging into my computer because I wanted to have a look at whether or not my salary had been paid, because I wanted to buy some Christmas presents. So I log in and there's a minus 100,000 on my bank accounts collectively. Minus 100,000, right? Can you imagine what that feels like? Like here I thought I was out of debt and suddenly I've got no money in there. And believe me, and the story I'm about to tell you is this had nothing to do with me. Now, to give you a little bit of background, I have been a single mother for, well, on the 24th of December, my son's 26. So I've been a single mother for nearly 26 years. And the reason for that is when my son was 6 months old, my partner was killed in a car hijacking. I grew up in Africa. I have German Italian parents, so we've been immigrating for many years. And I fell in love, had my child early, and I suddenly at 20 became a single mother. I was halfway through a degree. To be frank, looking back now, I was still a child myself. So I had to grow up very, very quickly. And I suddenly had this huge responsibility for this child. And financially, it scared the living daylights out of me. But I finished my degree. And then I decided it was time to get out of Africa. It wasn't safe anymore. And quite frankly, I was scared. And one of the things I do suffer from is PTSD. I've had multiple things happen over my life. The death of my partner was one of them, but particularly with finance, I suffered dreadfully from PTSD. So I moved to Australia in 1997, and I had so many ups and downs over the years. When the GFC hit, I basically got retrenched, which was horrific because there was one point where I just had no money and I didn't know if I was going to lose my home or not. I've had to do all sorts of things to provide for this boy because he also went deaf when he was 6 years old, and we needed to operate on him. He needed many, many years of speech therapy. So I'm very, very aware of the sacrifices that women make to raise families and look after children. Now, in 2012, I got remarried. I thought this was it. I was going to be married to this guy forever. And it turned out that he was a narcissist. So for me, it was time to leave when they thought I had a brain tumor and he had an affair. And I remember him saying to me when I got upset that I was a selfish bitch because I could be dying and he was looking for a replacement wife. And you know what? That didn't hurt me. It actually just crystallized everything for me because I knew at that point that it was time to leave. So 2015 was my year of just clearing everything out, getting everything sorted, getting out of the debt that he left me in, and basically starting a new life. And for me, it was exciting because I was 40 at that point, and I knew that I had to do something for my future and my pension, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have much money. So you can imagine back to the end of 2015 when I logged in and I had this huge, huge debt. And what had happened is through my son, somebody had hacked my computer, gotten all my bank details. It was a scam through Israel. It was something called binary options that my son had signed up to. And they got into my account by putting software onto the computer, and they took all this money out of my account. And to be frank, I had a huge nervous breakdown. I went to the police in Australia because this is an international scam. The holding company was supposedly in the Caribbean. Their main offices were meant to be in the UK. So I spoke to UK Scam Watch, I spoke to the FBI, I spoke to the Australian police, and all of them basically just threw their hands up at me and went, no, it's just too hard. Too hard, nothing you can do about it. But here's the thing, right? They left me when they took this money with absolutely nothing to lose. nothing to lose. I didn't care anymore. I didn't even want to live anymore because I thought, well, I'm 40 years old. I've got this massive debt. It's not like I've bought a house or gone on a massive spending spree. I've literally got nothing to show for it. And I don't want to spend the next 10, 20 years trying to pay this debt off. And I literally wanted to die. I remember, well, I don't actually, 6, 8 weeks were just a blur. I virtually remember nothing of them. I contemplated killing myself. At one point, I did try to slash my wrists. But I got through it. I don't know where the reserves came from, but they came. And around about June, July, I put my story on a forum and somebody emailed me and they said, you know what? I know exactly who this is. This is a major embarrassment to the Israeli government. And this is the guy. I mean, I'll never forget. I got an email with a picture of the guy's Facebook account on it. It was this big fat guy. And the picture was him lying on like a pink pool flamingo in his pool, holding a cocktail with this big smile on his face. And remember, I said to you, I had nothing to lose because I had a friend who said to me, look, you owe him he owes you 100 grand. He can get a contract on your life for 20 and still keep the 80,000. What are you doing? And I said to my friend at the time, I don't care. I really don't care. I've got nothing left to lose. So I wrote to this guy and I said to him, right, I know exactly who you are. I've got a detective sitting outside your house as we speak. None of this is true, by the way. I've got a detective sitting outside your house. The guy who sent me the email originally actually gave me some details. Like he said to me, this person's lived in South America for a while. He speaks Spanish, a couple of personal things. So when I wrote to this guy called Cher, his name was Cher Gadel, I wrote it and I said, I know this about you. I know you speak Spanish. I know you've got a pink pool flamingo. That's the detail. And that's my people watching you. And if you don't give me my money back, I'm going to be in Tel Aviv next week. I mean, I didn't even have money to drive to the airport in a taxi here in Australia, let alone go to Tel Aviv, but he didn't know that. I'm going to be in Tel Aviv, going to start legal proceedings against you. I'm going to tell the world on social media. I'm going to go to Interpol. And you know what? Within half an hour, I got a reply. It took him a month to get all the money back because what he did is he started refunding the payments, and he obviously panicked because he started revealing the laundering system through Bulgaria. But within a month, I got all my money back. And that August was one of the best months of my life. I managed to organize a retrenchment because on top of everything else, I had a boss who was an unbelievable bully. So here I was in the middle of a nervous breakdown. My boss was also bullying me. I used to drive into work and I couldn't leave because I was just so afraid of not having an income at that point. But I'd drive into work, see his car, and literally sit in my car in the car park and cry in the morning. So you can imagine that August when I got my money back, I was able to I got a retrenchment package with my job. And for me, that was it. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I was also fed up with struggling as a single mother. And, you know, I've got a degree, I've got an MBA degree, I've got an undergraduate degree in accounting. And there's one thing I've learned, that this whole concept of just get a job, it's not enough anymore. It's not enough. So I decided I was sick and tired of corporate. I didn't find it made my soul sing. It wasn't my passion. It wasn't my purpose to go out and make a huge mining company another $1 million or a few $1 million a year, even though I was good at what I did. And I really needed to start helping more women. And I remember as well, I had been in Malaysia about 5-6 years before in Kuala Lumpur at a bookshop. I love hanging out at bookshops. And I found this book called Half the Sky. And please read it. It's a phenomenal book. It's another reason that, apart from my experience as a single mother, that I am so committed to women. So I fundamentally help women build a dream and a divine life, la dolce vita, by building financial freedom, by building the ability to have an income, a business through coaching that is going to give them choices. Because the issue is we don't have choices. I'm able to do this for my clients. And I mentioned the book Half the Sky. It's about women in the third world, around maternal health, around sexual slavery, and of course, around the whole education thing. And because I have my business, I'm able now to keep girls in school and sponsor girls in school in the third world as well. So my passion is to help women achieve financial freedom. And it's not just about being able to buy the latest handbag or something like that. I know the sacrifices that we women make. I know the fact that many of us worry about where the next bill comes from. I know the things that we do to help our children and our families. But what happens is women hit around the age of 40 and suddenly they realize that they've spent the last 20, 30 years being a daughter and a mother and a wife and a staff member and a sister, and they forget who they are. And on top of everything else, they end up in this midlife poverty crisis. And it's an accidental poverty trap, but it happens. So let me tell you why 1 in 3 women in Australia, in the UK, in the US, let alone the third world or countries that are developing, because that's even worse. But why women like you, even professionals, end up in poverty in midlife is this. So first of all, it's because we earn less. And secondly, there's actually 3 things. Secondly, it's the fact that we spend so much time, a disproportionate amount of time, looking after our children and sometimes our elderly parents. And the third thing is divorce. So let me tell you the story of Andrew and Sophie. Now, Andrew and Sophie, gorgeous couple. They meet at university. She's lovely, bubbly, really, really smart woman, got lots of potential. And they finish their degrees together, roughly the same degree. They fall in love. They go and get a job. So Andrew earns $48,000 a year. Sophie gets $40,000 a year. There's that difference, obviously, because of the pay gap. They spend a couple of years together, then they get married, they buy a house, and 2 years later, Sophie falls pregnant. Great news. They sit down, they discuss things, and they decide she should look after the kids because by this point, she's earning $20,000 less than Andrew. So it makes sense, right? Why wouldn't she look after the children when right now he's bringing in more moolah? Well, you fast forward 10 years down the track from this. She hasn't worked. She's looked after 3 children, and she decides it's time to go back to earn something. So she looks for a job. She needs something with a bit of flexibility because remember, sometimes kids get sick. You've got to pick them up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There's some sport things in the afternoon. So she finds a job as a part-time receptionist. And unfortunately, it's only worth 25 grand, but it's better than nothing. And she goes off to work. Then you fast forward another 5 years and they get divorced. They want things to be amicable, so they split the assets down the middle. Andrew at this point is earning 100 grand a year. Remember, Sophie's on 25. Maybe she's had a bit of a raise after 5 years. So let's say she's earning 30. And what happens is Andrew goes and buys himself a house, and Sophie can't afford a mortgage on a house for 3 kids and herself. So she puts her money into the bank and she rents and she lives off her divorce money. When they hit the age of 55, Andrew has $500,000 in the bank. He's got his house paid off. And what Sophie's got is nothing. She's basically used all her divorce money, all those savings, raising her kids, paying her rent. And the chances of her actually getting a job at that age are pretty small. She's in her 60s, remember. And I was reading literature the other day talking about women in their 50s that are not getting employed because we're considered old. So what she has to look forward to is pretty much a retirement with no money, homelessness, not affording healthcare. And it's a time in our lives when we do need more healthcare. My mother's 72 and she has 2 hip replacements. She's had breast cancer. She's had multiple reconstructions that have not worked. She's had spinal surgery. She's got a fused back. She's had cysts on her spine. So my mother is basically like a pincushion. And if they didn't have enough to really have the medical care, I don't know what really would have happened to my parents. And she's pretty lucky, you know, her and my dad have been together 50 years from that perspective. So they have each other. She's not single. So I am on a mission to help women not just not worry about the bills, because that's nonsense. We shouldn't just break even. We have a right to live a divine life, to be free from financial debt, to be able to make the choices. This is the beauty of it. Make the choices in life that we want to. If we want to go on a little holiday, I'm not even talking about being mega rich. You know, I mean, I'm at a point in life now where I really know what things that are important to me. I remember being in my 20s and I was going to finish school, get this massive corporate job. This was the 80s. Well, I grew up in the 80s, but I was going to fly in the corporate jet. And I look at things now and like, it's not important. I just want to live a life where I can choose whether or not I'm going to do this or that, or buy myself this little thing. If I am going to go on a little trip, then it's okay because I've got the money. I'm sick and tired of women scrounging. I have had so many clients come on board, and I've been able to transform their lives because I coach women how to become coaches. And every one of us has the ability to coach, particularly when you've gotten into your 30s and 40s. There is experience in you, ladies, that you can use to help other women. And we are in the most phenomenal period at the moment. I know that sounds strange for 2020, but in general, because of what's happened online, we have access to the ability to earn an income that, quite frankly, we never have before. And coaching is a magnificent way to do it. Now, I used to coach executives, so it's not that I woke up in 2015 and decided I'd just coach. I actually have a long history of that. I've worked in strategy development. So I've got the runs on the board to do this. And what I wanted to do was take that coaching that I used to do with corporate, but help women do it. And then I discovered that there is this entire industry online. And the exciting thing is online coaching is the second biggest industry in the world, and it's growing to IT. Second biggest industry. And the beauty of this is that you can actually start it from your home. I'm actually talking to you from my bedroom at the moment. I'm looking after my parents. They've moved in. I've had to give up my office, and I'm literally sitting at my desk in my bedroom. I mean, this is not something you could have done 5 years ago. It really isn't. And the thing is, you don't need many years of education or a big degree or anything like that. You need a passion, you need a willingness to learn. You need the ability to step outside of your comfort zone, because if you don't, you will never, ever grow. Even if you decide, if there's one thing you take away from what I'm saying to you today, if you are going to grow and evolve and improve your life, you have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone, because only there comes growth and comes potential and comes a brighter future. So if I'm going to leave you with 3 things today, the first is you've got to be willing to make some changes that might be painful. Growth is painful, but if you don't step out of your comfort zone, you're never going to reap any amazing benefits. The second thing I would suggest you do is find your tribe and love them hard. And HerStory is one of them. And when I say find your tribe and love them hard, we have people in our lives that mean well, but they don't always support us the way we should. So family, God love them. I love them very much as well, but they try and keep us comfortable and safe. And sometimes they're not our biggest supporters. So find women or people, I love men too, but find generally women who can support you like this and will help you grow, because they are your team. They are your people. They are your tribe. So find your tribe and love them hard. And then the third thing I'm going to say to you is I do have a gift for you today. I've got a planner that you can download. Get your hands on it. Have a look at it. You don't have to make the decision today, but start exploring some options to live that better future, because this midlife poverty trap will creep up on you. And then come to my workshop and let's see if you've got a course in you. It's not that difficult. You do need help to get it off the ground because there's a bit of technical stuff, but that's what I'm here for. And let's build this beautiful life together, because we women have the power to change the world, but not if we're financially strapped and we're struggling. So my darling girls, go forth and live beautiful lives, because you can. It takes a bit of work, it takes a bit of stepping out of our comfort zones, but we do have tremendous potential. We just have to believe in ourselves and be willing to make those first steps. Thank you so much for having me.